Oh, hey. All right, well, since you're here, I suppose I'll fill you in. Boobies, not boobies. This is everything that I'm going to use to try to seal up the windows. If you noticed in the last video, I pulled out all the windows and then I caulked them with this Henry's wet patch. This stuff is really good. It's made for roofs, but I chose to use it on any of the cracks at the bottom of the windowsills to ensure that nothing was going to lift or crack or peel off those ledges, to ensure the best possible water sealant that I could get. In the process of taking out all the windows, I realized there isn't even a little bit of seal. There's no weather stripping on any of the window at all, which is basically going to ensure that these things are going to be about as tight as a bad alibi. Drafts and leaking air is not something you want when it comes to controlling the temperature on your bus, in anything for that matter. So I've opted to go, and I'm going to try a few different methods to see if I can stop a lot of the drafts that will probably happen. I've opted for all kinds of sealant to basically wrap the inside of these windows for weather sealing. I'm going to try a few different methods to see what works best. I've already laid down some of this foam sealant, camper seal here at the bottom of the ledges, and it seems to have made a pretty tight seal at the bottom. But upon doing that, I realized that I definitely need more. So I'm going to try a couple of different methods here. And the last thing I want to do is get these things sealed up with caulking and then realize I could have done a better job. This is one place I really don't want to skimp. I just don't want to end up with a nightmare of leaking water or drafty windows and anything that's going to make this uncomfortable. I'm going to do my best to pay attention to all the detail so that I can make sure that I make this as comfortable as possible. We're going to be taking this on some cold trips and to the top of mountains, most likely. And the wind can be pretty aggressive, and I don't want it to just be blowing cold air directly into the bus when we're trying to keep it warm. So you can see the caulking is doing a really good job stopping the water from getting in any of the crevices. So that's what I did. I sealed these up really well. And you can see a little more water penetration. So these windows are pretty disgusting. I'm just going to clean the parts that I want the insulation to stick to. That's really just these edges here. And I'm using this foam window seal, and I'm running a bead of it right along the edges. That's the part that tucks up against the bus frame, the window frame. I did it on one. It seems to be working pretty good. I tried running a seal at the bottom, but unfortunately it just ends up soaking up water, and I don't want to end up with a situation where these things are like constantly wet and maybe molding over or just holding water in any way. I'm pretty sure that can't be good. Okay, so this stuff right here, it's called It's called backer rod. It says to seal large gaps. This may be one of the smartest things I could do to seal up these windows. At the top of every single one of these windows, about a 1/2 inch gap. I mean, literally, from the bottom of the window to the top of the frame is about a 1/2 inch gap. This happens to be about a little bit over a 1/2 inch. And inside here, inside the frame, above the window, there's an opening on each corner that basically goes right outside. Without this being in there, there's virtually a hole inside every window. See right here? Hello? That gap right there basically goes right outside. If I don't use this, then every single one of these windows at the top has a hole in it, or 2 holes, one in each corner, top corner, that leads right outside. So this stuff at the top of the window frame is definitely helping. Okay, so I've got my rubber foam down the edge, both sides, and then I've got this rubber tubing that's going to fit right in the groove just above the window behind the stock rubber seal, window seal. And this fits in there really, really well. It'll give us layers upon layers of protection, and the whole thing fits back in really, really tight. No issues closing or opening the windows. I think that's going to help a lot. I'm still going to run a bead of caulk around the outside and the inside and anywhere I think that wind can blow through, but I think that this is going to give us a pretty good seal. It's going to give us an extra layer, and that can definitely never hurt. So I'm just going to continue down all the windows, and I want to get the windows sealed up as much as possible before I move on to anything below the windows. So I really just don't see any point in doing that. Here we go. I just wasn't happy. After I sealed up all the windows the other night, I just wasn't happy with, I don't know, I was kind of having sort of nightmares about if this isn't done right and I go through all of the process of trying to make the bus sealed up, I don't want to have leaks. I think that's the last thing anybody wants when they're doing something like this. You put all your effort into it, only to find out that you've got to tear everything apart because you skipped a step. So I'm really doing my best to avoid that. So I think extra layers is the only thing that's going to make me feel comfortable, even if it costs, an extra 50 cents per window for a little bit of weather stripping. But I gotta tell you, this stuff is fitting in there really nice. Almost feels like it was made for this. It's the exact size that the edge of the window has to offer for receiving this stuff, and I'm really liking it. I'm really liking the way that the windows are fitting in afterwards. Seems to be the way to go. Well, the only thing we can do is wait and see. So the good thing is the windows always come back out if I need to, and fix or make things different if need be. fitting it slightly bigger than the window, so it's kind of tucked in there, you know, so there's no open space on the edges. And then there's a groove inside the window frame that's accepting this and holding it in place while I push the window into its frame. I mean, it's really coming out good. I like it. I like the way that this is working out. So, yay. On to the next window. Piece that needs to go in, and that's just this little bit of trim that fits in just above the ledge. Okay, that's it. The windows on this side are basically sealed up, with the exception of running caulk on the outside. And I'll probably run a bead on the inside as well, just for good measure. It's not going to hurt anything. They're never going to really be permanent. Everything will be able to get cut out if it needs to come back out, so I'm not really that worried about it. This should work really well. I'm just going to screw them down, tighten them up. Okay, so to recap, I've got the foam sealer, weather stripping, and then the backer rod going into the top. I don't know if you can see it, but there's definitely a gap in here that is that'll definitely be an issue later. The backer rod is really doing a good job in there to manage that gap. I cut a template to cut some metal so that I could seal these holes. I mean, I suppose the window treatment's not going to do any good unless I cover up these big holes, and I've got 4 more in the front to do. So today, not boobies. I am going to cut some sheet metal from the sheet metal that I pulled off the ceiling to cover these holes. And this is my template to do it. So stick around, you're gonna see some fun. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna do is trace out my templates on the metal. Okay, the next thing to do is cut them out. Safety first. Ow. Cut out, and all I want to do is clean up the edges and install them. Alright, so now that I've got the sheet metal in place of the holes, they're tacked in temporarily. I'm going to get some self-tapping screws to go all the way around the edges nice and neat. Make sure it's really secured to the edge. And then what I'll do is I'll Loctite or glue the inside of the screws so they don't back out when we're going down the road and there's plenty of vibration happening. Right now I'm going to go to the outside of the bus and seal all the windows from the outside. I'll take you to... Okay, so basically I'm just going to run a bead of caulk on the outside of all the window frames and make sure these things are really sealed up tight. You can see here I've got virtually every little bit of this caulked. I'm pretty sure that'll give us a good seal. And I did one side so far. It's looking pretty good. So I'll get the other side done, caulked all around the edges, and this thing will be friggin' tight. It'll be pretty water sealed. So I'm stoked. So I'm hitting these patch jobs with some self-tapping number 8s and neoprene washers. Basically ensure that I'm not going to have any leaks up there. So this is what it looks like. You see all the neoprene washers in the screws. Yeah, and then I'll go back over that with caulk. So I'll hit that with the Henry's wet patch seal. It's meant for roofing, but this stuff is great. It seals everything up. It's flexible. It's prone to wear, prone to weather. I've got good faith in it. I've used it in projects past, and so looks like this is going to do the job for sealing up these holes where the lights were.